Hello, world. Can you hear me now? All right. This is ACO Club, ACO Association, brought to you by American Communications Online. And my name is Theresa J Thurmond Morris, and I am here to share some of my friends that are working with me. And I am going to be happy to share that we're going to be talking with friends who know me in person today. One of those happens to be Janet Carol Lessin, and the other is Ken Johnston. And he likes to go by Ralph Kennedy Johnston Sr. for all you fans out there that know him as a former NASA employee, government contractor. And we'll be putting up quite a few articles and various websites for you to find and learn more about him. And Janet Carol Lessin has Ascension Center with me in Hawaii, as well as Aquarian Radio out of Hawaii. So I'm happy to have her here today. And I'm going to do my best to share cosmology, inventions, and soft disclosure today. We have a very popular Facebook social media group called UFO SecretSpace. And I'm very proud to have people helping us with many, many groups in social media. That's just one of many. And I'm sure we've got around 40 altogether. But we're going to work together and share today somebody new named Dan Trent Cooper, an inventor out of California. And hopefully he's going to share with us what he's able to do. But let me get on two co-hosts that I've enjoyed meeting at last year, actually, in 2017 at the Mars Anomaly Conference in Mobile, Alabama. I'm coming to you from Gulf Breeze, Florida, for those of you that keep up with who, what, when, where, and why. We invite everyone every week now to share the future. And Janet actually has had Dan on Aquarian Radio first, and then on Cosmos Radio Group, which we have with a mad painter known as Thomas Becker, with Revolution Radio, where Janet still does Stargate to the Cosmos night, and he does Open Canvas, Thomas Becker. And tonight, Ken Johnston is out of New Mexico. Janet is out of Hawaii, me, Florida. And we hope we got Dan Cooper here. But let me introduce my two co-hosts. Janet is an author and a speaker, and she has been into the UFO biz for quite a while now. And I've got some pictures of her that we'll be putting up more on her later from Hawaii with Dr. Alexander Sasha Lessin. Actually, Alexander Philip Lessin has a PhD in anthropology and a master's in psychology. And Janet has business-minded background in computers and was a former independent contractor, but she worked for a company just like myself and Dr. Ken Johnston, which I know him as Ken. He said, please call me Ken. And Janet says, please call me Janet. And we kid because we're both Janets and Janet Airlines, and we bring you whatever we can. But we're really going to do our best to present ACO Association, American Communications Online, cosmology, and inventions from the future, calling it soft disclosure, as many are in the live radio podcasting business in cyberspace. So without further ado, I asked Janet and Dr. Lessin, God, can you tell I'm used to that? Dr. Ken Johnston to help me out here today. So let me get Janet and then Ken. Janet Carol Lessin, are you back by chance?
I'm here, yes. Dan is calling in to look for his number. Did you see him on your end?
Is he a 760 number possibly? 760 maybe?
Yeah. Let me look. I have to look again. Oh, okay. I think so. Yeah. Hold on. But anyway, he's calling in.
Go ahead and introduce yourself.
You might get a lot of call-ins. Yeah, I've been working with Theresa J. Morris. Oh boy, we've known each other since probably 1993. We keep running into each other across time and space and in 3D reality on this planet. And we started actively reconnecting and working together in 2012. We were coming into that 12/21/2012, and we started preparing for this new age, this ascension age. And I've been working with TJ. We do radio shows. We've been doing them for years and years and years. We already have about 1,000 shows recorded by now. I think TJ maybe more between the two of us. So we get interviewed by different people. We interview. Our list of people we've interviewed is just growing exponentially, and we're very proud to be able to do this great big volume of work for the world. And now we're branching into television and YouTube and going into the audiovisual, and we've been doing conferences. And TJ's over there in Florida, and I'm over here in Hawaii, and we meet in the middle sometimes, and we have more planned for 2019 and 2020. So we hope you join us as we open the portal Stargates. The Stargates, the Cosmos, they're now the portal Stargates. Anyway, we have to explain the difference between portals and Stargates and wormholes, maybe on the show later on. And then I live and love in Maui, Hawaii, and I have a bunch of cats. I was never able to have children, so my hubby and I are older people, and we're never going to retire. We'll just get old. And hopefully we'll be able to figure out how to regress that with the soft disclosure and the new technologies which already exist in the cosmos, but we're working to get these kind of like forced out into the public so that we can profit and benefit from it rather than it going to the next generation. So we're going to be talking a little bit about that in this show, the free energy systems, and Dan Cooper is going to be presenting on that on this show. Okay, I'll pass the talking stick back to you, TJ.
Okay, stand by, and we'll have Dan on as soon as, and I'll read what we've got up here, but let me get Ken on. Ken, are you ready? Ken Johnston of New Mexico. Can you hear me?
I hear you loud and clear.
Awesome. Thank you for coming today, Ken. I know you're a very busy man, especially here at the holiday season with Christmas. So could you tell people just a little about you, the short version, because we're going to hopefully get into the show in a minute, but I know I've asked you to sort of introduce yourself if you don't mind. Go ahead.
Oh, I guess the quickest way to go is all the way back in 1962 for those of you young people out there. When I joined the United States Marine Corps, and that's where I learned to fly, became a pilot. And once I left NASA in 1966 and went to work at the Johnston Space Center. It was a manned spacecraft center back then. I went to work for the Grumman Aerospace Corporation that built the lunar module, and I was hired on because I was a pilot and also an aerospace engineer to help test the lunar modules in the vacuum chambers and be sure everything worked well, and then help train the NASA astronauts so they get flat. Well, anyway, so that background, it was a great opportunity to get to work with all the NASA astronauts and be close to some of the things that were going on behind the scenes and some of the things that I'm just now coming forward with. And I'd kept secrets for all these years and finally just gave up on the government and the people that were supposed to know. Put it out there. Now you can do your own research and find out, because I put copies of all my archives and things with the Roswell, New Mexico UFO Museum and Research Center. So that kind of brings you up to date. I guess, I don't know if there's much more to say. When you got questions, we'll answer questions as we go.
Thank you, Ken. That was excellent. Yeah, that's the short version, folks. When you've lived as long as we have long versions. But we've got a lot of experience, but we're going to try to pull together a great team here. And I'm real excited about Dan Trent Cooper, Inventor of California, and to introduce, I'm going to learn about him too, folks, with the TJ Radio supporters that have been supporting all of us since 2012, June 6, 2012, when we began TJ Radio, when we presented to you all our ideas for Stargate to the Cosmos, which Janet Carol Lessin herself actually produced that this year. And Ken Johnston, right here, yours truly with me, is one of the main speakers there. We're very proud of that, and you can probably find those in the future. Janet's working on getting the video up, hopefully in 2019 for everybody. But in the meantime, you can listen to this recording here for historical purposes right now in 2018 tonight. It'll probably be right up on YouTube. So we appreciate everybody that's supporting all of our listeners on iTunes and Spreaker and Stitcher and FM radio and, of course, Google and YouTube. And now I've put it up on Facebook. I punched that, and also Twitter. So thank you, Twitter. So now, without further ado, let me get Dan T. Cooper, inventor with 20 years as a paralegal, and he's going to help me with global patents and zero-point energy, and he retired at 62, and he's now 65 years old with a lot of ideas and inventions. So he knows more about the zero-point energy, but he explained to me that he has the ability to uncomplicate things, you know, and it was Einstein that said if you can't say it simply, you don't know it well enough. So we're going to see if he can stand up to a sixth grade understanding for us. He assured me that he could. So I'm hoping he doesn't bedazzle us with this, because zero-point energy is one of those great things that we've all heard about, probably, if you're into the cosmology, metaphysics, being in the New Age especially. But you see a lot of shows, Ancient Aliens, things like that. But this is radio and how we see it, so please pay attention. Okay, Dan T. Cooper, you're live and on the air with TJ, Ken, and Janet. How are you today?
I'm good. Are we connected?
We are. We're right on. Believe it or not, you are live and on the air, sir. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. You want to hear Janet's voice? You're really live now. The world is going to hear you, and it's going to be all those places I just told you. So you'll be able to hear yourself in a little while. So tell us about yourself, Dan. Yeah, say hi to Janet and Ken.
Hi, Janet.
Dan. Say hi to Ken.
Hey, Ken.
Ken, say hi to Dan.
Hey, Dan, we'll be checking to see if we've crossed paths in this fascinating experience of time.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think so. That's okay. That's okay. That's okay.
Now, I got you on that one. Huh? Okay.
Yeah. So we're willing to open up and listen and be friends. And tell us about your history, Dan. We all are the author of our own life story. Janet apparently has already heard it at least a couple of times.
Oh, well, most recently, because I'm an inventor, and I invent free energy generators, motors, and engines, not just generators of electricity, but also free energy motors. I'll explain what free energy is in a second. And free energy engines, they're different. They have different uses and different purposes, so I'll explain all that. Not just right now, but that aspect of my life didn't start till 2005 when I invented my first free energy generator of electricity. But I was still working as a paralegal, still raising children, so I couldn't really divert my time into full-time development of free energy systems until I retired at 62. And then I started full-time doing that, and I'm on my sixth patent. I just filed my sixth patent on December 9th. And I just got confirmation today from the U.S. Patent Office that that's good worldwide. And that's a very important confirmation, the one that says that it's good worldwide. And,
congratulations. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Please go on. That's exciting.
Anyway, so the history that you're interested in was that history, my inventor history.
Yes.
But if there's other aspects, I mean, I worked in law most of my professional career. I worked in law as a paralegal. So that's a completely different history, but it gives me a major leg up in the physics and electrical engineering arena because I'm able to write my own patents at a very high level. Most inventors, they have to try to explain it to attorneys, and then the attorneys have to try to translate that into a patent, and they don't have the technical experience to be able to correctly relate what the inventor is telling them. I don't have to do that. I'm one and the same person. I write my own patents.
Amazing.
Anyway,
that's wonderful. So you're the only one we know. I don't know. Yeah, no, we love the author of your own life story in 3D. So we love to bring it down where people can hear you and know that you're a real person, Dan. And
Yeah.
Now, do you go by Daniel or Dan? What's your preference?
Dan Cooper. I just go short, Dan Cooper. Everybody used to call me Danny when I was a kid, but I always hated that because I don't know why I hated it. It's fine, it'd be called Danny, but Danny's short and it's easy. This is a very interesting time in history during, in disclosure, the powers that be, the interplanetary corporate conglomerate, what most people will be calling the secret space program, eventually evolved into the interplanetary corporate conglomerate, which is what they like to call themselves. This is a very interesting time. They don't really want to release hard evidence of the existence of aliens or the existence of their level of technology or their travels throughout the galaxy. They don't want to release any of the hard evidence to that effect. They're just allowing soft evidence release, which is really not provable. But they are formally releasing hard evidence of free energy systems, for real. That's what's so exciting about this particular time, because that's really the first secret space program evidence, hard evidence, real, irrefutable, take it to court, absolute hard evidence of the existence of all that other stuff that's being presented in soft disclosure. The hard disclosure is starting with the release of free energy systems, and that began in November of 2017 with the release of the NASA's peer review. Ken, you love that one. NASA's peer review of the M drive, EMDRIVE. Shire's invention he filed in 1999. He got the patent on it in August 2017 from the British government, and then the United States NASA released their peer review, which they had completed back in September 2016, but they didn't actually release it until November of 2017. NASA's peer review of the M drive. So I actually will dumb it down for you. It's nice if you go and read the article, see all that calculus, and read through it. It'll confuse you greatly. But I will explain how it works in very simple terms.
Go for it.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a very significant moment in history, because what the United States is doing, the United States government is doing, is they're basically saying, this is now released. Free energy systems are now released to the public. They're real. Here's the mathematical proof of it. And, you can expect these systems to be coming out. And since I'm an inventor in these systems, I can explain what to expect and anticipate to be released over the next, between now and the next 10 years. I know what's going to be released. I'm inventing a lot of it, so I know what's going to be released. I've been following the other inventors, which you have to do when you're patenting. You have to make sure no one else has patented what you're trying to patent, or you can't get a patent on.
Amazing. You're a lot like Einstein. Go ahead, Ken. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Of course, I left NASA back in 1980. So the experience I had back then is that it was pretty hard to get them to come across and review anything that came from outside of the sacred hollows of NASA.
Yeah.
But then
now
I
everything.
Good.
Yeah. Everything was secret, Ken. Yes.
Yeah, it was back then, I suppose, and I'm sure it is now, because I've had to deal with coming forward with all the information material that I've kept secret for all these years. And of course, when you have those clearances, you've got to maintain those until you get to the point that it's beyond your ability to keep things any longer. But that's fascinating. What about? Did you get any information looking at Tesla's? What information you get from Tesla's research and the 0-point energy that he was creating way back when, before they impounded it and took it away from him? Were you able to get some of that information?
Yes. I have a lot of Tesla's information. I've done a lot of research, and I have all of Tesla's information. I know what they released officially on Tesla, and what they haven't released officially on Tesla. I know of his work, and I can describe his work.
Oh, were you able to?
Yes.
Actually able to get a hold of some of his original research and the papers and documentation? Because I understand that when they came in, they just took everything away, and so that the conglomerate of the oil moguls in the world that control the power.
Well, they basically subsumed him into the secret space program, and that's where he worked from 1929 all the way to his death. when was that, in 40-something or 50-something, wasn't it, when he died? Anyway, he worked in the secret space program. He got pulled into the secret space program in 1929. He worked for the United States military at the highest level, and they did a lot of work together. Worked on a lot of very interesting things. I know what he worked on because I worked in those fields, so I know exactly what he worked on.
I'm still playing catch up because when I was involved with the NASA and the rest of them at the time, none of the information was coming out, and now there's so many people that have kind of done the same thing I did with regards to did we find any evidence of extraterrestrials on the moon or on Mars or what have you. All those things are now coming out, but now information on zero-point energy and stuff like that, I haven't had the opportunity to research that very much, but now I can tell. I live out in the country. I'm about ready to use one of your devices on my farm.
Yeah, that's officially. Well, I haven't. They're not manufacturing them yet. They are. They are manufacturing them, but they're not. They're not very powerful ones yet. They are manufacturing. Beacon Power manufactures flywheel over unity free energy generators, which have a COP of 4, basically 1 watt in, 4 watts out, 3 watts over unity. And that's the flywheel generators they have on the grid out in Pennsylvania, and then their Beacon Energy is now putting several of those up in the East Coast, large ones, the large grid-sized ones. And so those are in existence. And then there is the buoyancy kinetic generators of originally Gaia Energy. They sold out to Roche Energy, I believe it is, and they're in 10 different countries now, and they're making 50-megawatt generators. So these are out. They're not nearly as powerful as the ones I have developed. So I know what's coming out because I'm patenting the next generation of these generators. But they were officially released by the United States in November of 2017 in the article NASA's peer review of the M-Drive, EMDRIVE. It's out. It's official.
It's amazing that it wouldn't have been the number one item on the news and everywhere around it. Everybody had know about it, but it's still kind of keep it silent and muffled down. And I'd say the average person on the street or even listening in tonight were not even aware because they kept it secret.
Well, they're not. They're still having issues with China because they had thought they had an agreement with China as far as how the development would go, and they don't. And so, there's been a little hiccups here and there, so they're not really saying too much. I mean, nobody's getting out on the news and saying, look, NASA released the information, it's official now, free energy is going to be released. They're not really saying that because they don't quite know how it's going to go. I know how it's going to go because of people who are coming to me and saying, well, can you make this, can you make that? And so I know how it's going to go, but they're still having this problem with they haven't got a hard agreement with China. We'll see that. We'll see how that goes. I mean, they don't have a reliable agreement with China yet, as far as the development, how they're going to coordinate the release of these generators.
That's usually to be expected when you're getting agreements with China. You really got to have
China wants to own it all. The United States wants to own it all, and they're not coming together. I might be involved in negotiations. We'll see. I don't know. I'm a small person, so we'll see.
What was your inspiration for your version of this technology? Where did you come up with this idea?
Solid state. Let's see. Well, I started researching to the patent library, and I ran across. I started looking at solid state ways of doing it. I realized that you didn't have to actually move something physically in order to get a coil to go past a magnet. If you move a coil past a magnet, it generates electricity in the coil. It's called induction. When you physically move a coil past a permanent magnet, or you physically move a permanent magnet across a coil, it induces an electric current in the coil. And that's how all generators work. The wind generators, they're running coils past magnets. And that's how electricity is really generated, hydroelectric and all that. That's where we get most of our electric generation, is in that moving a coil of wire, magnetic wire past a permanent magnet. But you don't have to physically move something in order to get that to happen. If you can, without physical movement, merely move the magnetic wave, then nothing has to move physically. And so I started going in that direction, and I started going through the patent library to see if anybody had patented that. And I pulled down hundreds of patents that go way back into the 20s, actually. And then I pulled down Tesla's original work as much as I could find. None of the complete patents are there; just pieces are left. All Tesla's patents were retyped in the 50s, and everything that's important was kept out. But there's still enough. There was still enough here and there I could pick up on Tesla's work and a number of about 100 other inventors in what we call solid-state magnetic energy, free energy generators with magnetic energy. And then from reviewing those patents and studying those patents in depth, I was able to solve their problems. They each have problems. Each one of the patents I reviewed have inherent problems that make them very short-lived. It's a lot like Edison with the light bulb. He actually, there were actually like almost 1,000 inventors that he had gotten their light bulbs from, that they just wouldn't last anything longer than a few minutes. And Edison's group actually figured out how to make it last, 100 hours as opposed to a few minutes, and then they went from there. So, there are a lot of free energy generators that have been patented. They just don't last very long. Your objective is to get it to last 30 years, which is the life expectancy of a transformer, which is a solid-state device. Most solid-state devices they have 30-year guarantees. They'll last 30 years. That's what you want. You want a magnetic energy powered free energy generator that will last 30 years. That's what you want. You also want it to be low in price. That was one of the other objectives I had. Is a lot of people were coming up with very expensive ways of solving the problem, and that doesn't really work either, because that won't beat coal-fired energy generators, which are at 5 cents a kilowatt hour. You have to be far below 5 cents a kilowatt hour in order to make it pencil. No one's going to buy it unless it's far lower than 5 cents a kilowatt hour. So I had a lot of problems to solve. It took me a few years to work it out, but I did.
Now, did you do any research into? We get into UFOs and what might power them as far as intergalactic energy, and I
discovered the sixth force and the seventh force. I independently derived those two forces, and those two forces are still not going to be released by the United States military. So, I can tell you what's been publicly released by Lockheed Martin. I can show you what's been publicly released by Lockheed Martin. I can show you the two patents that Nikola Tesla put up in 27 and were awarded 28 using the sixth force. I can show you Lockheed Martin's disclosure of the seventh force. These are different kinds of energy. Magnetic energy is very different from electrical energy, and the sixth force, which is a different form of energy than magnetic energy, is very different, and that actually allows for warp 1, and that's what Tesla patented in 1927. The first warp 1 engine was patented by Tesla in 1927, and it was awarded to him in 1928. And those patents are in the library, although the details of how they work were removed, but the patents are in the library, and I'll show you those two patents, and I'll describe you. I can only describe you what the United States military is releasing publicly. I can't go further than that. I can't give you the actual how it works, because that's still a military secret, and I'm not allowed to do that. But I am allowed to show you what the United States military is releasing to the public on the sixth force and the seventh force. So that Lockheed Martin has been releasing information on the seventh force through to the Stars Academy of Arts and Sciences.
Are you still connected with the military? Or are you?
No, I've never been. No, I don't. No, I don't work in the military, and never have in this lifetime. On this timeline, I have not worked in the military. That's another timeline, another place. You're talking about my 20 and back years,
right?
When I was in the military. Okay, yeah, that's a different. That's completely something different. On this timeline, I never worked in the military. When you do a 20 and back in the military, you're not required to serve in this lifetime. In fact, they actually discourage it. Like you already put in your 20, you don't need to put in another. That's okay.
Right.
Go ahead.
How is this technology going to affect us, humanity? Like, what are the ramifications of this coming out?
Are we going to be allowed to use a Q thruster? Are we going to be allowed to use a Q thruster, do you think?
No, they're not going to give you. They're not going to give you warp 1 engines. They're going to give. Okay. No, they're not going to give you warp 1 engines. Not for a while. That's not for a while. We're not going to be zooming around in Warp 1. They're not going to allow that because they have agreements with the Super Federation of aliens, the 60 aliens that run the Super Federation. They have agreements with them that not to permit everybody and their brothers, all 7 billion people running around the solar system with Warp 1 engines. They're not going to allow that. Not for a while.
So who's going to get that technology? We have the secret space program.
Engine?
They're already operating on that level and above, right? Correct?
Oh yeah. They have all that. They have everything in Star Trek was real. It's all real.
And it is real.
Transformers,
they're still using
replicators, Warp 10, was actually Warp 9.8 engines. All that stuff's real. It's all real.
Mm-hmm.
The United States has had it for a while. The United States had their first Warp 1 ships in 1952. Real reliable Warp 1 ships in 52.
Well, do you know on this timeline, Dan, with Tesla, you mentioned he died 43, and that's when a lot of the our Social Security numbers and 47 CIA, all that. So can you tell me how do we fill in from 43 to where there's some time missing? Can you fill it in?
43 to 52
on this timeline? Well, okay. Whatever you're willing to fill in.
Because I can tell you I can tell you a lot of the history. First of all, Nikola Tesla, when he filed his patents in 27 using the 6-4, it's better if I describe shortly what the 6-4 is. The 6-4 is a different form of energy, and just like two magnets of the same pole repel each other, you try to push them together, repel each other. 6-4 is a different form of energy, and when you fire up the 6-4, it repels gravity at 99% the speed of light. So if you have enough of it in a ship, you have a Warp 1 engine. Are you with me? Hello?
Yes. I'm listening.
So it's just some time. There's something in the background. I don't know where it's coming from.
Okay, so he patented that in 27, and then he publicized his patent throughout the world because he was trying to sell it. The United States wouldn't buy it from him. Westinghouse says, we can't put a meter on that, and they wouldn't buy the 6-4 from Tesla. So Tesla went and he advertised it to every major country in the world. And guess who bought the patent? Guess who bought the patent from him in 1929? Take a big guess. Hello?
Go ahead, somebody. I know the answer, but I want to read the guess.
Go ahead, take a guess. Who bought the patent from him in 1929?
Ken, who bought the patent?
Which got him a major doo-doo with the United States. Who bought the patent from Tesla in 1929 for the Warp 1 engine?
They're not guessing. You'll have to tell them. Or else they're not
Nazi Germany bought the patent. Nazi Germany bought the patent. So Nazi Germany had the first Warp 1 ships. They were the first ones to the moon. They were the first ones to Mars. They were the first ones to negotiate with different aliens because they had the Warp 1 engine.
Right.
They're the ones that flew over Los Angeles in the February of 1942, called the Battle of Los Angeles. That was a Nazi ship.
And why did they do that? I think you explained that to me. Why did they?
Well, they were basically trying to get the Americans to surrender at that time. The Americans didn't want to surrender at that time. Now, of course, the Nazis didn't have enough of these spaceships to do anything militarily, and I think the United States knew that, but they were pretty frustrated over the fact that the Nazis had Warp 1 ships that Nikola Tesla sold them. They're pretty upset about that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay. I don't know. Are you guys still on, TJ and Ken? Or did we lose you?
No, I thought I lost Ken. I was hearing a lot of noise, buzzing back and forth. So are you back with us, Ken? It was on and off. Are you okay?
Did we lose Ken? Did we lose Ken?
I'm here.
No, he's there. I can hear him.
Okay.
So, well, that was the first Warp 1 engine. I think that was what you wanted to know, the history of the development of the Warp 1 engine. Eventually, we came to the war. Didn't really end in 1945. It ended in 1952 with the treaty, with the truce between the United States and Nazi Germany. There are two Germanys. There's Germany and there's Nazi Germany. They're not the same. And then there was a truce in 1952, and the Nazis gave the United States 3 ships as part of the truce to study. We didn't just study the Roswell crafts in 1947. We also had the Nazi crafts and their engineers to actually explain how they work and to show them how they worked. And the first joint mission to Mars with the United States with the Nazi Germans were in 1934. The Nazi Germans actually took astronauts with them in 1934 to Mars to show the United States what they had. It only pissed them off with the war anyway, for good reason. You know, the Nazis were a little maniacal. They wanted to take over everybody, and the whole genetic purity thing was a little too much for us. Still is. Anyway, so we came to a truce in 1952. We actually have a treaty with the Nazis in 1957. So the Nazis didn't lose the war. Sorry, it didn't happen that way.
What happened between 1945 and 1952? 1945 was the public.
Well, that's when we were hunting the Nazis. We were hunting down their secret bases in Antarctica and in Brazil. But we didn't have the weapons to defeat them. We couldn't oust them from their secret bases. And that was the problem. We knew we were going to have to negotiate with them because we couldn't oust them from their secret military bases in Brazil and Antarctica. We couldn't get them out. We didn't have the technology to defeat them. We couldn't remove them from their bases. So we knew they were eventually going to build up enough weapons to come back and engage us again. Then we decided, you know what, we need to get along with it. Remember they did the flyover in 1952? The flyover in BC?
Right.
Yeah,
well, that's real. Those are real Nazi. Those are Nazi ships. Those aren't aliens. Those are Nazi ships.
Right. So the surrender in 1945 was with Germany, not with Nazi Germany. Like
right.
The
military commander that surrendered that signed the surrender with Eisenhower was not in charge of the Nazi units. He said, I can't surrender Nazi units. I can't even surrender. He wasn't even officially able to surrender. Eisenhower wouldn't even meet with him. He didn't even go in the same room with him. He was just one general that signed over his unit. That was all it was. There was no real surrender in 1945. You just read the transcript, you can see.
Yeah.
Eisenhower didn't go in the room with him for a good reason. He had no authority.
So in 1948, when Eisenhower made a treaty, the question was, when the craft landed at the airport and Eisenhower made his treaty with him, who did he make the treaty with?
Right. Who was that?
Well, you're talking about Eisenhower in 1956 making treaties with the Greys and with the Tall Whites and the different aliens from the Super Federation. You're talking about something different. Right? You're getting mixed up between Nazis and aliens.
We're just talking treaties. We're just talking treaties.
Okay, that's the 56 treaty. The 56 treaty was with the Super Federation. The Super Federation consists of 60 advanced species throughout our galaxy. There are 3,000 starfaring species in our galaxy other than us. And 60 of them actually rule the galaxy, and that's the Super Federation. 40 of them are humanoid, 20 of them are non-humanoid, aquatics and reptilians and insectoids. And then he negotiated a treaty in 56 with the Super Federation. That's in 56. Now, that's different from the Nazis. What was done in 57 was with the Nazis.
So, TJ, are you willing to share with Dan your version of the Roswell crash or delivery or whatever you want to? Are you willing to share that with Dan and our listeners?
Are you talking to me?
TJ.
Oh, okay. Good.
Theresa, are you there?
Apparently you had to say me.
All right.
Yeah.
Theresa.
I don't know where she is. Theresa. Okay, she disappeared. Anyway, okay, back to our history. So this is the alternative history that I like to talk about, that I like to get out there. Because this will free humanity. The real history, right?
Yeah. Dan, do you have this already written in the documents or published or where it's available, where we can have everybody start getting brought up to speed so we understand what has happened in the past and where we're at and where we're headed?
See, other people are doing that. I'm an inventor. I work all day and invent and file patents. I'm not involved in that aspect. You should talk to my favorite person for relating to history. Actually, I like Corey too, even though he's jumping bad lately, and a lot of people are upset with him. But he has a really good, he renders the history of the United States very well. So does Randy Kramer. Both of those, you should go to them. They've got it down. I don't know about Wilcox. I haven't followed his rendition, but a lot of the people who've been involved in the disclosure movement, they have a good rendition of the history. You don't need mine. Although no, they don't know the technology development like I do because I've been inventing. They don't know that aspect, the history of the technology. I have the technology down because I am a physicist and an inventor. That's my advantage. No, I haven't written the book on that. Somebody's going to make me write a book on that.
I'll help you if you need help.
I got that one. Yeah.
Dad, I'll help you if you need help to document this, because this is important to do before we're all dead. It's to document what you're very, but I'll help you do that.
The history's really cool, but the history is happening right before you. I mean, the most significant thing in the history of the United States happened in November 2017. NASA released a peer review of the M drive. And what that means, I'm going to tell you what that means. I'm going to show you how it works in sixth grader level.
When did they release that? What was the date they released that? I'm trying to find that
the actual date, I don't know. You pull it down, you'll see it says September 2016, but it was actually not really released until mid-November of 2017. Even though the article, the September date, 2016, that really wasn't the date.
Okay. Yeah, I saw one from 2016, so I was thinking it was more recent, but that's the right one. Okay, I have that. Okay, so history is happening now.
It's supposed to be released. The Obama administration ordered it released in September of 2016, and then it got blocked. It wasn't officially actually released.
It got blocked in 2016.
November 14th. It wasn't officially released until November 14th of 2017, and that was because the British awarded Shire the patent in August of 2017. So the British kind of forced the release. So did a bunch of other things. It was a whole bunch of events that forced the real official release. But that's history in the making. We're making it today. History's happening. It's happening. This is the biggest thing in the world, as far as I'm concerned, is the release of that peer review. That's
you're talking about.
That's not soft disclosure.
Well,
that's hard disclosure. That's hard disclosure.
Who released it first? NASA talked about it in 2016, but Popular Mechanics, what about, they talked about it, but I mean officially for sure, because January was when I think it was Popular Mechanics. Yeah, Popular Mechanics let out about the M drive.
That's correct. They published the article in January, but it wasn't officially released. Free energy was not officially recognized by the United States government until November of 2017, and NASA did it. You're talking about...
All right, so NASA will get the credit for that.
Real hard disclosure. Like, it's real. Free energy is real, folks. NASA came out and said so. That's big. That's hard disclosure.
I call it
I'm going to tell you, I'm going to do a PowerPoint and show you all how it works in very simple sixth grader level.
When will you release that?
Can't wait. We're going to get that out the next month or so. We're going to be doing all this, releasing this information. We got to get through the holidays probably and all that.
Well, it's open access. They have open access, folks, with meaning open source, our Creative Commons license on papers, and that's what you're referring to, right? It's open to the public. They had a peer-reviewed paper, Measurements of Impulsive Thrust from a Closed Radio Frequency Cavity in Vacuum. And that was the Journal of Propulsion and Power. And it was December.
That was actually held back and wasn't really released out to the public until November of 2017. It still got held back. Even though it has that date when they completed it still was not open to the public until November of 2017, which was a month or two after Great Britain had awarded Shire the patent, which he filed for in 1999. So he didn't get the patent for, 18 years later? They had him under a Secrecy Act for 18 years, that poor guy.
Wow.
Well, who gets credit? Because Eagle Networks said it got their hands on the EM drive. We'll have to do some research on, since you're into the patents, who has the patent on the EM drive?
The Chinese got their hands on it, and then they recreated it, and they built it, and they flew it out in space and tested it in August of 2014. You remember the Chinese went to the moon in December of 2013. December 13, 2013. They went to the moon.
We were already mining. We were already mining for years, all the different, weren't they? I mean, I had information that everything was being mined on the moon because we couldn't get our hands on a lot of the material from space. And even back when Lazar was working, so we only had a very minimal amount. Of course, he was talking about stuff we didn't have yet, right? He just had a minimal amount. My husband worked on that. But he told me that we'll just say the ETs weren't allowing us to have certain information.
You're talking about the mining of the elements that are not on our element chart of elements?
Yeah.
You're talking about the elements? Okay. You got to tell them what they're mining, you know.
Well, yeah, but you know it became on the element charts, about 3 or 4 of them, after
that's right.
After Bob Lazar let us know. I thought it was over with back then, 87 or 89. I think it was 89. And I really did. I thought it was over. I thought, okay, it's all over with. Now we're going to move forward, but it didn't happen.
The new elements. No, they never released the elements. And they're not releasing information on the elements either. But even though a lot of us know that they're there, you know, they're still not releasing the elements. We can't work with them. Private labs can't work with those elements, and we can't get them. And we can't even get articles on them. But that's okay. You know, I don't work with those elements. I work with standard stuff off the shelf. All of my generators are made with standard off the shelf components. That's what I told you.
Well, let's get into the details real quick. You told us you could tell us, right? You're working on switches with the water to replace oil, something of that nature. Can you refer to any of that? Working with your switch?
You're talking about the OPEC countries, the Arab, the OPEC countries. They, you know, the United States went to them and said, guess what, free energy is coming out and oil's going to go away, and, you know, we need you guys not to be too upset about that. And then they were like, well, what do you mean not upset about that? I mean, you're not going to buy our oil anymore? And they go, well, no, because we don't need oil anymore because free energy is free. You know, magnetic, you know, it just comes right. A free energy generator doesn't combust anything. It doesn't burn anything. It doesn't store electricity. It's not a battery. It's energy that comes right from the vacuum right through the vacuum of the fabric of space. It comes right out of the fabric. Magnetic energy is that. We just harvest magnetic energy that comes through the fabric of space, and we amplify the effect. Tesla amplified it 25,000 times. My generators are 24,000 over unity. So I know what Tesla did because I reinvented that. So I know what's possible with magnetic energy. You're talking about with a COP at 24,000, you're talking about the generator the size of a shoebox can power a house for 30 years straight, nonstop. Nothing. It doesn't require any gas or any coal. It doesn't consume anything. It draws energy from the vacuum of space, from the fabric of space. But it's magnetic.
Well, do they want to tell people about how it works? You know, because darn it, my dog might have to mute me. Hush, Coco. Sorry, that has to be part of my thing. My dog, we don't have any cats, but occasionally she thinks there is. But anyway, so can you talk about?
We do that.
You know,
we do that.
Between what I'm going on with the elements for those that are laymen, and if you know what I mean, off of the charts that we're putting on the charts. But in the meantime, since we don't have them on the planet anyway, and we're mining the moon, and I mean, there's so many key factors here. But putting it all together, let me put it that way. Your equipment that we're going to possibly use your patents in the future as an independent contractor and you're being spoken to, is there a possibility that you can explain how you can take ocean water and clean it up and trade water for oil? Because I told them in the last couple of years that water was going to be the new oil. So can you explain that, how you trade for that?
Yes. So
OPEC
said,
go
okay,
ahead.
so oil's going away, and you're asking us to step, not be upset about that. So we need you to give us water because we want to become an agricultural concern, and we also want all of the elements out of seawater. We don't just want water, clean water, in order to grow things on our deserts. Because we got lots of sun and we got lots of oil. Oil is used for fertilizer, by the way. They're going to use their oil for fertilizer because they're no longer going to be used for running engines anymore. We're not going to be combusting oil anymore. So we're going to be using it for fertilizer. They say, we got oil. We're going to use it for fertilizer. We got lots of sun. We don't have water. We need a lot of water. We said, well, how much water do you want? We actually had to ask them how much water they wanted. We said, we need at least 200 million acre feet. Million acre feet is a lot of water, folks. That's a real lot of water. Every year, they want 200 to 300 million acre feet a year in water. Desalination, which means we have to take it out of the ocean and separate it out. They're willing to pay 5 cents a gallon for it, but the fact of the matter is it doesn't require, because all the elements that you take out of the sea are worth a lot more than 5 cents. They don't even need to pay us 5 cents. If we take the elements, we would make a fortune. Because the sea, the ocean has all the elements, all the precious metals and everything. So we don't even need their 5 cents a gallon. They say, wait a second, we want the elements. You get 5 cents a gallon. I go, no. So we're in negotiations on that, but no one's been able to fill the contract. So they came to me and said, well, can you fill the contract? I said, well, yeah, I know how to fill the contract, and I had to actually do a whole presentation to one of their chief engineers. And prove it to them, which I did, and so they're convinced that I know how to fill the contract. So it's a very exciting time for me to be able to fill that contract. Basically, we disassociate. We can disassociate water. Westinghouse Plasma was the first one that did that. They don't use it. They don't use the disassociation technology. It's called plasma gasification. They don't use plasma gasification to separate seawater because it doesn't pencil for them. That's okay. It pencils when you do it my way, but that's neither here nor there. Point is that disassociation technology has been around for about 10 years. Westinghouse Plasma has plants all over the world where they disassociate garbage and turn it into 50 megawatt electrical generation plants. So disassociation, gasification, plasma gasification is not new. The way I do it is new, but it only works when you have a free energy generator to run the system. It doesn't pencil unless you have a free energy generator run system. So essentially you disassociate water into a separate element, and so water is H2O, 2 hydrogen molecules, 1 oxygen molecule, and you separate it into 2 gases, hydrogen and oxygen, and no one's been able to put the 2 back together as fast as you separate. We can separate seawater. Everybody knows that. Lots of people know how to separate seawater very quickly using plasma gasification. There are various people who have patents on that. But they don't know how to put the 2 gases back together as quickly as they separate. That's always been the trick, the problem, and I solved that problem. And so I'm working on that patent now. Believe it or not, it was actually NASA, Ken. NASA solved the problem. I actually pulled down for 1965. We solved that problem. So I don't think I can patent it. I can patent modification of it because they didn't do it the way I'm going to do it. But they did suggest in the 1965 article how it could be done better, but they didn't actually do that. So it is patentable, and we're going to do it. We're going to do it for the article.
Well, let me let Ken and Janet ask you a question, and then we're going to go the next hour. So we may do a little minute or two break for a moment for a little commercial or something. But in the meantime,
you want me to come back?
I'm sorry. Well, we got another hour.
Wow.
We got another hour. We have a whole another hour, of course. But let Ken, because there's a lot of names you've mentioned, and that's great. So, Ken, have you got any questions? You used to be a contractor and contracting with NASA and all of that, but I want to get into the next half of the show on global patents and helping people like yourself. So, and tell them how you did your global patent. But, Ken, any questions thus far? and Janet, but let's let Ken and then Janet. We'll go the next half. Go ahead.
Yeah, and kind of touch on the fact that NASA had the system working. Now, Apollo 13 had a problem where we had a leakage of the hydrogen, and that's where we had the explosion on Apollo 13, where we nearly lost the crew. Were they? I wasn't working with that piece of hardware, but that was on the command module. So, did you, Dan? Did you get involved with that at any? Going back.
No, I didn't. I was in law. I practiced law for my career. I started in physics in 1962. I'm sorry. When I was age 62, which was 3 years ago. 3 years ago, I started my physics career. Before then, I was in law for 20 years.
And my brother was a aerospace engineer at the Johnston Space Center vacuum chamber, A and B there, but he was also an attorney on our side of the family, so I worked with him a little bit and gave me a little insight on the legal aspects of things. But mine has been more of let's work with the people who invent it, like yourself, and then I'm the guy that flies it. So, I was just curious whether or not the power generators that we create used on both the command modules and the lunar modules, that gave us the electrical power we needed for the systems, and that's why we just barely got them back on Apollo 13. I didn't know whether maybe going back into history and kind of look at that.
That's a good question, though. Why didn't they use that? Why don't they use what they've got versus because they're committed to the oil?
Oh,
none of that technology was released even to NASA. None of that. It's only recently being released publicly, or even for NASA to use. That technology wasn't released then. Was still a great military secret. All that technology was a great military secret until November 2017.
Like I say,
NASA's still not using those generators. NASA doesn't have those generators. They're still not using them. They don't even have them yet.
No, but it's still a secret because it's not out public very much. You're doing what you can to get the word out, and that's what we do. But no, those generators are out. They're just a small COP. COP of 4, COP of 8 is a very small COP. It's not my level, which is 24,000. COP of 24,000 is a very high level solid-state generator. It's very powerful. The only ones that have been released in public, Beacon Power, Gaia Energy, Roche Energy, those are very low COP. They work, they're good, but they're not NASA level. My generator is NASA level. NASA definitely wants what I have, and they want me to develop different things for them. Magnetic energy powered thrusters, magnetic energy powered jets, all kinds of stuff they want me to develop for them. They just didn't want to pay my price, so we're negotiating.
Well, all those that they advertise on, they're not the same, right? Yours are big. How big are yours? Are they bigger than the semi, the 18-wheelers we drive on bases?
Well, that would be about I can fit a gigawatt in that size unit. I can get a gigawatt of power. One of my units, the size of a tractor trailer, can put out a gigawatt of electricity. That's why that level is not being released yet. That level will be on military bases first. What the United States military is proposing is that my generator is being installed in the Navy base in Saudi Arabia and the Navy base in Kuwait, and then we do the desalination from the Navy bases, and then we ship water and electricity to the OPEC countries. We don't let them have the generators.
But they're not.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Yeah. No. It's going to come out gradually. It's not going to be out in public right away.
Right.
Janet,
it's going to be
your
a long
turn.
time before it comes. Can you hear me? My husband was running his smoothie maker. So
I had to mute you, but you're back on. Yeah.
Wait. Are we taking a break?
He's done making it.
Yeah, we'll take a break for a moment and come back. But Janet had to ask you a question. Go ahead, Janet, and then we'll take a break. Take a couple of minute break.
I was just waiting for my husband to done with the smoothie. When we come back in the break, I'd like to talk about how we can get this out into the population to make an effective change for the planet Earth and all of its peoples, and not just keep it in military use or secret use, but how we really, because that will free humanity. Right now,
and that is a very good question, and we should talk about that after the break.
After the break. So that's my question for after the break.
I'm an old man. I got to go pee. Okay.
I'll do the same. So back in a few minutes after the commercial break. Okay, thanks.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody. All right, folks, we're going to let them take a quick break, if you don't mind. And if Ken, are you still here?
No, I'm trying to get in out of this. I'm just sit here.
Okay, so did you say you were trying to get in? You wanted to talk? Or
every time you calls, I jump in, but I got talked over, so I'm just sitting here being quiet.
Well, all right. If you'd like to share anything, you can, and I'll put the little break on. Let me see if I can get into this, but don't know that it's going to come across. No. Okay, well, I guess you got it then. You'll just do the break for us. Ken, what would you like to talk about? I can't bring it in anyway. So what would you like to share? Because apparently with you working at NASA, and I was, in and out of country 80 to 93 myself, but I don't understand a lot of why we're going to keep patents at a certain level, except we look after our financial wealth at various levels, and I believe that's part of it. Ken, and you work there, and you remember we need all those engineering jobs, especially in the space administration, and we hated to see a lot of jobs go away, which you lived through. And it was very disheartening, to have all these engineers all excited about going out in space. And you had to leave Grumman, didn't you? What year did you have to? My father-in-law and my husband was at NASA, and he had to leave, and Grumman switched my father-in-law up to where you worked in Bethpage Grumman, right?
Oh, well,
you want to talk about that?
I'll go ahead and cover it.
Okay, we're gonna. Oh, you're talking to Kat. Okay, yeah, I want to make. I took a break too. Yeah. So
well, Ken, do you need a break?
No, I don't need a break.
Yeah, because we're still live.
You're going to ask me to answer statements.
Oh no, we're live.
All right, I'm off. I'm going to hang up.
Can I hear you?
Don't
hang
up, Ken.
Don't know if Ken thought we were live or not, but he wanted to talk, so he got upset, I think. I'm not sure. All right, Janet, I think you're asking if we gave Dan a break. We did. So, and you've had a break. So, anyway, Janet, why don't you try to call him real quick, the 505 number, and tell him to come back, that we were just taking a break, but he was live. Can you do that for me?
I'm back.
Okay, Dan. Great. Yeah. Now Ken's on a little break, but Janet's going to check on him for me. So we'll be back in a few minutes, folks, with Janet and Ken. So, Dan, if you don't mind, what happened is Dr. Lessin comes home, and he's very regimental, and so he had a smoothie run in the back, and Ken had some kind of interference back and forth and couldn't get on. So he was wanting to talk, and he felt like he couldn't get in. So he's just taking a break now. So, and everybody listen, because I couldn't pull the break commercial up, but that's okay. Guess it wasn't meant to be. So where you're at right now, let me see if Janet's calling him. Janet, are you calling Ken? Yeah, she is, because I can't hear. All right, so back to everybody. This is our American Communication Online, and we use the acronym ACO, and this is TJ Morris ET Radio, so I'll do my own little commercial. We're back for the second hour with Dan T. Cooper, Inventor of California, and he's had at least 20 years in the paralegal business with Attorneys of California. And he started at 62 years, roughly 3 years ago, to work for his own self as he's retired in the legal business. But his background was not only in patents, but tell us about this engineering. You have Dan T. Cooper Engineering. So you had electrical engineering or physics or just reading? You're a really good reader. How did that work? Crossover? Just based on experience?
Yeah. I studied on my own. I had worked in civil engineering for quite some time. Before I concentrated in law, I was working in civil engineering from 89 to 93. I worked in civil engineering as an urban planner. I prepared tentative maps and stuff like that. Processed environmental. I wrote environmental impact reports mostly, and I worked with the engineers very closely. I did a lot of hydrology reports. Stuff like that, sediment transport reports. I did a lot of that type of engineering work for civil engineering companies till 89 to 93, and then I got into law in 94. Paralegal work from that point on until I retired at, I guess it was 2014. I retired in January 2014. I started my physics electrical engineering career. So yeah, I studied on my own, but of course I'd been working in civil engineering and I did electronics technician work for Westinghouse, so it wasn't that hard for me to pick it up. But yeah, you study on your own. You know, once you leave college, all college teaches you is how to read. But
basically, yeah. Or be disciplined in one or the other, right? You learn more quantum physics possibly, or if you want to do journalism, they'd like you to have a 4-year degree. But as an investigator, you know, I took a little law enforcement, criminal justice, some forensics, English, a little psychology. But I was already working the whole time I was going to college, right? So it just depends on what you need. And then my certificates actually, you know, the government accepted my certificates, you know, in business and personnel information and using weapons and all that. They accepted my certificates, and then I had truck driving on and off bases, experience pulling for the Microsoft, U.S. Treasury, things like that. But I found out that my whole entire life prepared me for, you know, going into communications and doing what we're doing, even though I started on television and radio when I was a child. So if you're like me, your whole life prepared you to do what you're doing now. Can you help us with global patenting now? Because it sounds pretty heavy, but it's really not, is it? You just pay so much to do global patenting because you just did it. So why don't you tell us how you got a global patent?
According to the 2014 treaty, the Paris Convention of 2014, anybody that files a provisional patent, the 1-year patent, anybody that files a provisional patent, that provisional patent is good all over the world. You're granted a provisional all over the world according to the treaty. So anybody files in any other country a provisional patent, it's good all over the world. Everybody agreed to that. However, you have to turn your provisional within 1 year from the time that's granted, and mine was granted yesterday. From my most recent one on my 6th. That one was granted yesterday. But within a year, you have to file for the non-provisional. But that non-provisional, you have to file in all the 5 major regional offices if you want to get protection throughout the world. You have to file in all 5 of the major regional offices: Japan, the European Union, China, the United States, and what was the 5th? Just skips my mind real quick. Anyway, there are 5 major regional offices you have to file. South Korea, I'm sorry. So there are 5 major regional offices you have to file a patent in to get worldwide protection of your non-provisional 20-year patent. But you're grandfathered in for 1 year when you file a provisional everywhere, no matter what. Wherever you file it, your 1-year patent is good in every country. But you only have 1 year to get it together to go for the full-blown, to submit for to get into the process.
Okay.
Right? You want to know more?
I'm following you. No, that's fine. I just wanted people to know the difference if they file in the United States versus, because back in the 89 to 94 when I was working, I had to do that, and I had to go over to Europe, and I had to pay attorneys. I had to pay attorneys in Washington, D.C. to do a lot of work, the attorneys out in the field, I guess, if you're not in Washington, D.C., to do the patent searches. So I paid some attorneys in Ohio. I was in Hawaii, so I had to pay them to do all the background checks in Hawaii, in the United States of America. Yeah, Janet, I can hear Sasha. I've muted you a couple times, but you're back on.
You still have to do that in all 5 regional offices. For me to take
I can't hear me at all. I'm muted. Can you hear me? Hello?
I can.
Yeah. Yeah,
okay,
we can hear you.
Now
you're the only one on here.
Okay, because I was muted.
You thought you were muted?
So
yeah, I
was talking,
you were muted?
And you had muted me. I guess.
Oh, okay. I put you on and off. Yeah, I was pulling you back to see if it was you or Ken. Yeah.
No, Ken
so did you hear Ken?
He's not picking up his phone. He's not picking up his phone. So sorry.
Okay. Well, he took a break.
All
right.
We'll have him back
go
next
ahead.
week, maybe.
He'll do tomorrow night.
So
yeah.
we were talking about, or he'll do. So we were talking about before we went on this break. We were talking about what was I saying? Dan.
Well, he was talking about helping me go to explain to people the difference, because I had to file in each country,
right.
And he talked about the global patent for a year.
Before we went on the break, we were going to talk about how we can bring this to the world. How does this go from something that's used in the secret space program behind the scenes and it never gets passed down to humans, and how if this technology and gets out to the world, it'll basically free humanity. So just envision that energy is free. Right away, all energy is free. You don't have to buy gas anymore. You don't have to pay for, any kind of fossil fuels. The planes will run for free. Everything will run for free. So that's fine. That's just going to make the rich richer. How do we get it from the rich down to us to free humanity from this corporate economic slavery? So I'm asking Dan, what are your ideas for that? Because otherwise it's like big deal. So what? I mean, we won't be, humanity won't really benefit, except we won't die from fossil fuels killing the planet, but it doesn't really help us economically. So what are your ideas, Dan?
Well, the United States is, they're directing the show. As far as I'm concerned, because I'm a U.S. citizen, so according to U.S. law, I'm not allowed to serve any other country except the United States. The United States owns me by law. The United States owns every inventor that's a U.S. citizen by law. That's the law, okay? So they own me, and I'm not allowed to invent for anybody else. I can only invent for the United States. So the United States has told me they want to start with grid-sized generators, but very rapidly they're going to go into generators that you have to understand, magnetic free energy is different than 6-force free energy and 7-force free energy. The secret space program bases, we have 100 bases throughout this solar system alone, and we have thousands throughout the galaxy. We have colonies all over the galaxy. Those bases operate on 6th and 7th force technologies. So the United States, the higher levels of the United States military, they don't have 5th force, which is magnetic energy. They don't have 5th force technologies. They haven't made them yet. They never bothered.
Well, why are they not doing? Why are they skipping over gravity? Why can't they get? Because we're just talking the weak and strong force. How do they split it up then?
No, the 6th and 7th force is a completely different kind of energy. You don't even know. I have to describe it to you and show you. It's going to take me a while to actually show you what's been disclosed by the military that they exist at all. Just try to understand it's a completely different kind of energy. It's so different from magnetic energy. It would take me a while to explain it and show you the proofs. Magnetic energy.
Do you have anything on gravity?
Anti-gravity is the 6th force. The 7th force is replicators. Replicators are used for 7th force. You reduce matter to energy and then put it back into any other form of matter you want. Replicators are real. They use the 7th force. The portals use the 7th force. warp 9.8 is because we can get to warp 9.8 because of the seventh force. The seventh force is used for a lot of things. Sixth force is used for a lot of things. The scientists in the secret space program and all the bases, they don't run on magnetic energy or electricity. They run on equipment that's far more advanced than anything that we have that we're using. They consider what we operate on, electricity and magnetic energy, to be quite antiquated. So they didn't sit down and develop any free energy generators using magnetic energy. That's what's being released. That's what the United States is being released, but they don't have them ready to go. And if they have them, they're military grade, which means they're too expensive. And they're using advanced materials that they don't want to release. So they need people like me to use common materials, common components, to reinvent, or basically to invent, because they never did it, to invent fifth force magnetic energy, free energy generators, motors, and engines. It's not just generators. It's motors and engines. So I have a thruster, a jet engine for jets. I have turboprops for that all go a lot faster than any gas jet engine. And I have magnetic motors for automobiles. I have magnetic engines for automobiles. And I've worked on these and I've designed these, and they're not ready to go. They're going to take a little bit of development. But until the United States gets behind that, they say, well, we want to start with grid generators first, and then we'll move into those very quickly. But they're trying to work up an agreement with China as far as to how this is going to go. And China, I don't know how the negotiations are going as far as, China's not too happy because they don't have any engineers that have invented this stuff. They're very upset over the fact the United States has the engineers, me and other engineers like me, who are inventing these things, but the Chinese engineers can't. So they're kind of upset because they don't really want to make agreements, because then the United States is going to dominate again because they have all the inventors, and Chinese don't. So the Chinese are like...
Well, so they're not working with faster than the speed of light yet in China. And so they're engineers. No. They're brilliant people all over the world, but for some reason... Yeah. They don't have faster than the speed of light or tiny subatomic particles yet. So
right.
I guess they want to take the whole world.
You're talking about
they want to take the whole world together.
China doesn't have the 6 or 7 force. Russia's been working in the 6 and 7 forces just initially. China hasn't been, except those people who have been in the program, but they're not allowed to go back and give anything to their government. But they don't even have 5th force free energy generators that are very powerful. Nothing like 24,000 over Unity, COP at 24,000. They don't have that. They want that, but they realize that, and they know that the United States military and that the Super Federation of 60 alien species are only going to allow initially the release of 5th force, magnetic energy, free energy generators, motors, and engines first. And the Chinese don't have any engineers that have invented these things. So they're kind of upset over the fact the United States does, meaning me and other people like me. They're upset with that because that's why they're not making agreements with us, because they don't have the engineers. They want me to come over there.
Don't they have... Are they working on their own, I guess you'd say, experiments? I don't know how you say it. Is each country right now?
No. They're really nowhere when it comes to 5th force or 6th force or 7th force. They barely. They're trying to steal as much as they can, but they don't have any engineers that are working on these things themselves, that have figured out these things themselves. They're trying to steal what they can. They can't get the information. You can't steal 6th force and 7th force technology because you can't even get to the planets we have them on.
Well, are they talking about the speed of light at all to anybody, or no? Is it just other than quantum physics?
You're talking about 6th force warp 1. They don't know that. They think torsion fields is the way to go, but torsion field is a ruse. It's a dead end that's being intentionally laid. And their engineers are into it. They're like, oh, yeah, we're going to do it with torsion fields. You can't do it that way. You can't. You might barely be able to do it that way, but until you really understand the 6th force, you don't have warp 1.
So they're going to work on magnetic and vacuum force together and try to make a torsion field work?
They're all into torsion fields and all these other weird things. They're really behind technologically, and the United States happier than a pig, and you know what? That the Chinese are going in all the wrong directions, technologically speaking.
Well, do they have to rewrite the cosmic rules because there's the laws of the universe? But they're going to have to go out, I guess, omniverse. How are they going to? They don't even know about traveling faster than the speed of light. Or what about? Are
no,
you
they
working
don't know. They don't know warp 1. No, they don't know warp 1, and
are
they
they working?
Don't know warp 5.
Are they working wormhole technology, portal at all?
No,
nothing.
No. We've taken them through the gates, but we haven't told them. We've taken them through the portals, but we haven't shown them how they work.
So are there still astronauts off working together off planet? Surely they're learning from each country. I mean, we're globally. I was hoping you'd go into globally.
Don't get to come back. Any Chinese personnel that have been allowed to enter the program don't get to come back and tell their government any of the technology. That's the rules. They signed the contract. They said they weren't going to do that, and they're not going to do that.
With the Germans? Or the Paris Treaty?
The Nazis.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't understand what you're
Germans.
Well, no, not the Nazi Germans. The Nazi Germans are. What's the question?
Let's say the question again. Say the question and don't leave room for someone to answer it. So we're asking what kind of technology. So the Chinese have been to the moon, you're saying, correct? And they're heading to Mars.
With a rocket, they went to the moon. Yeah, no, they're not.
So they're going with the rocket
Mars.
Technology. So that's all they have is rocket technology.
Yeah.
Correct? Yeah, that's it. So is that what you were asking, TJ?
But that's not at all. We're talking portal technology.
We're not understanding. They don't have it.
Well, he
Chinese
did.
don't have it. So who has portal technology? Anybody?
Who has what?
Portal technology.
Oh no, the portals.
Anybody?
The portals. No, nobody has portals. No, the portals were built by the ancients. A billion years ago, there was a race called the Ancient Builder Race, and they built the portals. And it's like Stargate, except it's not a ring. It's actually a sphere, and those are real devices. And Lockheed Martin figured out how they worked, but they didn't tell anybody else how they worked. You can walk through the portal.
Why Lockheed Martin then?
What about Lockheed Martin?
Well, since you're into patents, why are you saying Lockheed Martin figured it out?
Lockheed Martin's team of scientists were the ones that figured out how the portals worked.
And you found out that how? Is it on where we can find it in writing that Lockheed did?
No. I know that because of it's Lockheed Martin that's releasing information on the Seventh Force publicly. They're not saying it's us, but that's who Back to the Academy of Stars and Scientists is. And when Lockheed Martin is telling Tom DeLonge, they have a wafer that does this and does that, and we make a wafer out in space, that's all true information. Tom doesn't have enough scientific background to understand how those things work, but I do, because I independently derive the 6 and 7 Force, so I know what Lockheed Martin is telling him. And they did some background research on all the people involved in Back to the Academy of Stars, and they're all
you did that. You vetted all of them, but other than watching the YouTubes, they're all Lockheed Martin people. Gotcha. Okay, well that's good news because that way every layman can go out there. Go ahead, Janet. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Explain.
Go ahead.
Marilyn Hughes. Who's Marilyn Hughes? We don't know who she is.
Oh, Marilyn! I love Marilyn. Marilyn Hughes. Marilyn Hughes is currently and I like Lockheed Martin because they actually rewarded people, the actual scientists who discovered these. Marilyn was the one who discovered how the portals worked herself, and they rewarded her. Well, she did a lot of other things since that in the secret space program for Lockheed Martin. She did a lot of the things, and they rewarded her. They made her the president, the CEO, and the chairman of the board of Lockheed Martin. In other words, they put a real scientist in charge. So I like that. I like that about Lockheed Martin. I like Marilyn because she wants the technology released. She was the one that released the video on the 6th Force. She was the one that released the information on the 7th Force. That's Marilyn Houston. She's my hero in the secret space program because she wants the technology released.
And she was with the other two. What were their names?
Boyd Bushman and
Boyd Bush and
Ben Rich.
Ben Rich, right. So what was her part with them? Explain that to us.
Well, she worked with Boyd Bushman and Ben Rich in Skunkworks.
There you go.
What do you want? They did lots of stuff. Oh. They did lots of things.
Yeah, that's all we wanted to know. Yeah. How were they involved with each other? With Skunkworks. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a little background. Does that make sense to you, TJ?
Well, Tom DeLonge, now, is he not going to get all the rights in Hollywood with his music and his videos? Isn't he going to go forth? He's just working with the people you're talking about. Is that correct or not? Explain that, Tom DeLonge. I know who he is, but I'd like you to explain it.
Yes. Lockheed Martin was trying to set up a public corporation, more than one. Back to the Academy of Stars is only one of the corporations, and they were thinking of filtering down the technology into the public sector, and then they could profit. Lockheed Martin could profit from the technology. But they have a lot of problems with that. The major problem they have is the technology that they want to bring down is military grade. It's too expensive. For example, the Aurora Pulsar. Do you know what an Aurora Pulsar is?
No. Why don't you explain it? Are they going to give it to Tom DeLonge?
No. They're actually collecting donations. Not donations. They're collecting investments, so they want to build an Aurora Pulsar. That ship that they want to build, that they show you, the kind of pointing thing on two ends and has a circle of light underneath it. That's a real ship, by the way. It's called an Aurora Pulsar. McClandish actually has a lot of information. Mark McClandish, he has a lot of information on the Aurora Pulsar, which is very accurate information. That's why I know that's an Aurora Pulsar that Marilyn Houston is trying to bring down into the public sector. But it's too expensive, way too expensive.
Well, those were using different engines, weren't they? Pulse wave detonation engines, weren't they, with Aurora spy plane?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay.
And that's what she wants to bring down into commercial aircraft. So that's what she has in the Academy of Stars. That's what they want to do. They want to build those for commercial aircraft. And that one that you see there, that's a Lockheed Martin military grade Aurora Pulsar. Goes 800,000 miles per hour, maximum speed.
I don't see it, but where were you telling the people to go look at it?
Did they remove it? Did they remove it? It was that black.
I don't know what you're talking about versus what I'm talking about, but I was just mentioning it. But is there a picture that they can go look at? The people listening?
I'd have to show Janet. I can't show you right now. I'd have to send it to Janet. I thought that was the main picture on their webpage. Off to the Academy of Stars.
On what webpage? I don't know, Janet. I don't know what. Okay, well.
I'll go look at it. Yeah, we're
Pulse
just getting this
detonation wave
information.
engines.
Anyway, so Lockheed
okay, we
Martin
can talk it. All right, so you're talking about Lockheed Martin, and then and that's good. And Tom DeLonge and Academy of the Stars, and them leaking information down to several corporations for soft disclosure to people that are not accustomed to working in science or engineering or, we'll just say STEM programs, science, technology, energy, and math. How's that, to cover the whole of the bases? So regarding, well, they're still working with what they've got on the planet, methane or gases, right? Turbofans, turbojets, things like that?
No, an Aurora Pulsar, I will teach you all how an Aurora Pulsar works, but until you see the photo off of the Stars website, you don't know what I'm talking about. I have to actually show you visuals of what I'm talking about.
We're going to do that real soon here. We're going to be doing visuals.
Yeah, we need to set that up. Yeah. Well, okay.
Right.
So there's various types of engines. Have you worked with them at all, you personally, or you just know or following Tom DeLonge's or Lockheed's work? Are there patents?
I have one contact in Lockheed Martin. He talks to me sparingly. Electrical engineer, very nice guy, brilliant.
Well, good. So they're doing their best to help in the STEM program for the United States of America, science, technology, energy, and math, which we do too. And we also encourage women engineers and the children of today to come forth in the high schools to engineering and math and, of course, physics and astrophysics like Ken Johnston and, administration too. But, okay, so how much can you share? So you think that Tom DeLonge, because he had money and he patented his music or, copyrighted it all and set up his own company, and he went over to Delaware and then he made one in California, right? So they're going to license and use his stuff. And you're saying that the information coming down from the old CIA guys or the old weird desk that used to work in Washington, the old guys that have retired working with him, did you meet any of them by chance?
No, I never met.
Or talked to any of them?
I was working in law. I wasn't working in physics till very recently.
Well, now they're going into entertainment, right?
Well,
we're under educational entertainment.
Those are all the board of directors now. All those Lockheed Martin people are all the board of directors of off to the stars. Academy of Arts and Sciences.
Well, okay. Now, how do you foresee what you're doing? Are you going to come out and do more public speaking, not just radio shows, but?
Oh, I don't know. It just depends on what's being offered to me. Janet came to me. I figured I got to the point where my patents had progressed far enough to where now it was time to go public, but I'm not going to be spending a lot of time doing public appearances. But, yeah, I'm open for public appearances.
Okay, well, people need to know that. Yeah, because Tom DeLonge is getting well known, but now there's some controversy over who is feeding him information versus Dr. Stephen Greer. Are you familiar with Dr. Stephen Greer's past?
Yes. Yes, I know about Stephen.
Have you crossed paths? Compared to him mentioning Tom DeLonge in one of his Contact in the Desert videos on YouTube, and he talked about Tom DeLonge. Okay, I'll just like your data input. You'll just have to listen to it, and then you could give me your analyst view.
On Stephen or Tom DeLonge? I can give you an opinion on Tom DeLonge and an opinion on Stephen. What do you want to know?
I'd appreciate it. An opinion. Well, just that. Give me an opinion on what they're doing and how they're handling their author's story.
Lockheed Martin likes Tom DeLonge because he doesn't understand what he sees. They can show him things and he can't reverse engineer them because he doesn't have the physics acumen to reverse engineer what he sees. And they're using him to promote their new companies. They have different companies that they're trying to bring down the technology to the public.
Now, what about Dr. Stephen Greer? How do you follow his author's path?
He's been for a long time. He's been trying to get the United States military to disclose the secret space program and the technology for many years. He keeps doing that. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I'm sorry. He really is doing that. He really is trying to get it done. And he has had a limited amount of success. And, he'll keep doing it. He still wants to keep doing it, and that's good. But he can't. He isn't able to bring up the technology because he doesn't know the technology. He's not a physicist or an electrical engineer, and he doesn't have any money on his own rights, and he's not connected up with anybody with money, so he can't personally bring out the technology.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Now, you had mentioned Randy Kramer earlier, and I was going to let you talk. And how about Corey Good, Emery Smith? Opinions?
So Emery Smith,
observation?
Emery Smith was really in the program, and he really did 3,000 autopsies of different aliens. Corey Good was definitely an empath in the program, and almost everything Corey says is absolutely true about the program and his experiences in the program. So it's very good to listen to him because he really tells quite a lot and gives a lot of information about the reality of what what the secret space program is and what's been going on. Corey Good's, my understanding is Corey Good was limited to this solar system. His work was all involved in the solar system. He didn't get to go out of the solar system. And the same thing with, they don't really want you to meet personnel who have been out and about throughout the galaxy yet, like with my group, the people that I served with. Randy was a super soldier, a Marine. Let's see what the Marine Defense Forces, and he also in his last few years was a pilot, and he actually engaged at the Battle of Ganymede, where we chased the Greys out of our solar system. We took over the Ganymede Gate. Ganymede portal is the portal that goes from this solar system to the next galaxy. It's the galaxy to galaxy gate, which is why the Greys didn't want to give it up. And we have that now under our control. We chased the Greys out of our solar system. And Randy did engage in that battle. He flew and fought in that battle.
So they're talking only
he
at a very local level in this galaxy, Milky Way galaxy?
Randy only served... No. Randy only served in this solar system.
Whoa, really? So everybody that's being briefed is only on this solar system?
Well, no, they
the speakers
only in this solar system. Randy only served in this solar system. He knows of people who served out of this solar system, but Randy himself was Mars Defense Force, and he served only in this solar system.
And now there's controversy.
Corey Good is only in this solar system, correct?
Oh, Corey said he only served in this solar system.
So TJ,
now where did you serve?
Yeah.
No, I
didn't serve at that.
On a cruiser. I served on a cruiser throughout the galaxy, but that's neither here nor there. Randy and Corey know a lot more than I do. I mean, when we were isolated, we didn't get to meet other personnel. We were in battle, and we didn't even get to talk to our scientists. We were just warriors. Fought battle.
Well, heck, I don't understand because
he's like Russ Kellett, TJ.
Oh, Russ Kellett. Russ. Now, Brett Shepard's not in that. Just Russ Kellett.
No.
Sure.
Just Brett Shepard isn't that level. Brett Shepard doesn't go. No, he's another level. Now we're talking about the people that are really in the secret space program, and so that there's
local
victim level.
They're just local.
Okay. And there's people that have served in this galaxy.
They've been allowed to get a lot of their memories back, and they've associated with a lot of other personnel. I mean, Randy was allowed to serve at the what do they call that? That space station out of Saturn, where everybody does commerce.
Right.
And Randy got to serve there, which means he got to meet a lot of people. I didn't get to meet anybody. All people.
Well,
where
did you work?
Battle with. I fought. I was a super soldier, and I killed people. That's what they had me do. I was a super soldier.
But
I didn't get
where?
to talk to people. I was doing battle with them throughout the galaxy.
This galaxy, Milky Way galaxy. Because I worked outside the galaxy.
Well, I've been there too.
Work,
but
TJ? Mm-hmm.
I served, I served Universal, and then I answered from the Allied Command to the Supreme Allied Command, and they answered what you would say. All right, so the Allied Command is galaxy to galaxy, and the Supreme Allied, they run the they use the in and out. You would say Sixth Force. They run that. So the like the 5-star generals that serve and all that, they serve once they're through the 5 stars, and that's where Tom was trying to explain, but I don't think people understood it in the past ET radio shows. My husband's passed over, but he's not really, because we're immortals. So it's like super soldiers meet Thor and Hercules, and all, and so it's like 3D reality meets 5D reality, and Stan Lee knew this, and he was looking for people, So what happened is we worked in the universe. It's a universal level. It's above Milky Way galaxy. And when we worked, and I was out there with, let's say, I hate to say names, but Andromeda Galaxy is the place that people use for the closest, where it's going to one day be one and the same here. But the people that I worked with were in between universes and then the multi and the meta and on up to the omniverse. But remember, there's 6th and 7th above the omniverse. So most people can't even grasp that yet. So this is low-level intel and that Corey and Emery and all of them were using. And so after, I guess where you were working, the universal, we had to use wormhole technology, but we steered clear of the black holes. And when I wrote a paper back and it was accepted inside cyberspace, China picked it up and put it in their university. So I'm cited for starting the dot theory based on the fact that, you have to start somewhere. So that's how I got into the internet, cyberspace, and then writing for UFO Digest. But I was writing different levels of my ego. So I had the commander level with Tom for UFO Digest, and I was talking quantum physics and the theory of everything at, I don't even know what level, because China picked it up faster than anybody else did. But the dot theory, I guess that would be on the planet, they call it, well, it's in cosmology. I don't know, I wrote knowing cosmology. So basically, there's still a lot more to come. But remember when Alfred interviewed me and then took it down because of Jim Mars and coming out with the Kennedy story and all of that? But he's staying in contact with me under the UFO SecretSpace and all the stuff I'm doing under Ufology 101. So he wants to be involved in the omniverse level, Janet, with how to explain energy. So I don't know how Dan's going to help us. But Dan, what you can help us do is I can help at the higher levels than where you've worked. But universally, people just still don't understand wormhole technology. And you're talking with people still 3D reality here. And
we're dealing with. Yeah.
So what we're doing is trying to help people understand how all of this works. And I did understand about Tesla and Einstein. I really did. But where you're bringing in wormhole technology, and some of the wormholes at our level was we were trying to explain to people that we could know where they were going to generate in what you call, it's manifesting, but they will shut down. So they cut some of our ships, some of our huge ships that go in and out of the wormholes. It shut down, and when they start shutting down, they would tear up some of the craft. I don't know any other way to say it, craft. So
you're saying like
how do you say
in
it?
the wormhole, they get stuck in the wormhole and break apart. Is that what you're saying?
No, it starts collapsing. We know where they're going to be according to what we use, but we don't know how long they're going to stay open. So this was one of the problems. And then the other thing was the virtual reality. And so the government will only let us talk in educational entertainment in what's called LARP, or live action role play. So that's why Dan was important to come on and get the education. But now I know what level he's in, so I can talk to him about faster than the speed of light and wormhole technology. But, there's detonation waves too. And, right now they're just working on the forces and trying to understand gravity here. That's where this planet is. Dan, isn't that what you understand?
No, I'm more involved. As far as the technology that I'm involved in, it's what's going to be released. We call it the transitional technologies that are going to be. What's going to be released to the public is what I'm involved in. I know of the other stuff because I've reinvented it. I've rediscovered it. I know about the higher levels of technology, even the 8th force, by the way. I discovered the 8th force, but I don't work in those forces because that's not what's going to be released over the next 30, 50 years. What's going to be released to the public over the next from now to the next 50 years is what I'm involved in, that level of technology, the transitional technology. That's what I'm personally working on.
Well, what level of space are you working in? Are you working in Mach 5? Or where? How are you helping this reality?
What do I know? I know Mach 9.8. I know all the way up to 10. I know temporal drive. I know portal technology. I know all that stuff because I reinvented it.
Well, when you say you know portal technology, okay. But what portal?
I know how the portals work.
Wait, finish the sentence. You know portal technology. What does that mean?
I know how they work. It means I know how the portals work. Yeah. I also know how to build a 9.8 warp 9.8 chip, but I don't do that. That's not what I'm doing. What I'm doing is I'm working on the technology that's going to be released to the public.
Right.
I'm not interested
in
that.
We're doing the first step. We're doing the first step.
Yeah, he's not interested in what I do. He's just starting at in this reality.
Because we're interested in, or I'm interested, and I'll speak for myself, in getting this reality change from this poverty level where most of the planet's in slavery, corporate economic slavery, and we're living on the street in the elements and starving to death. I'm interested in uplifting humanity. Start looking at it. Start hearing about it.
Well, you already talked to Lewis Spencer. Lewis Spencer had a 3D reality on working in 43 to 47, didn't he? With the
I don't remember what you're talking about, Lewis Spencer. No.
Lawrence Spencer and his story.
Well, Lawrence, all he did was have the story from the nurse at the Roswell crash. And you have the Roswell information if you ever, want to reveal that because you worked on the craft.
A lot of our authors, that's how we. All right. So, those are just stories that are information for Gus or Galaxy Universes shuttles. But those go from Galaxy, but those stay in the galaxy. They stay in this galaxy. They stay a shuttle.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, from here, the stratosphere, right? They use more the same thing out in space. They use what he's talking about. Let me put it that way. But it goes back up. The small shuttles go up to the ships that are outside in this area. And you leave and you go up to the main ships. So they can only carry you so far, right? And that's where we had the 15 seconds that people were talking about back in Bill and Barney, the police officer, all those people on the planet, right? So what we have to get is
15 seconds. What's the 15 seconds? What do you mean by that? What that means.
Okay, when you leave it's like what Einstein. You're going to get me real complicated. It's when you leave and you lose time. It's like faster than the speed of light. When life here changes, when you leave this planet out into space and you lose time because time doesn't exist in space. It gets real complicated. That's why I was trying to get involved with people in time travel. That's Stuart Anderson. Remember in India, all that, so we could explain it to people?
No.
Because
you're losing me.
Well, we don't have time to go into all that. But let's just.
Well, we have 10 minutes.
It could be 14. I forgot.
14
when we're missing time, we
minutes,
can't explain it. I don't remember. It's 12 to 14. No, it's seconds. We can't put back this second.
Okay, seconds.
It's missing.
Okay.
So that was my Aerocop time travel people. Okay, that's a whole different. I don't know. That's why I want Dan involved. Dan somehow has learned to take what I do and be a translator. So he can help me because I can talk to higher.
Have you worked in the time travel aspect at all, Dan?
Yes.
Well, you help me out.
The portals are time. They use time travel technology. The portals, the ancient builder race built the gates. They're portals. take advantage of wormholes that are permanent. The wormholes that Theresa was talking about, the ones that appear here and there, we can actually calculate where they're going to appear and where they're going to appear, and we can take advantage of them. That's a different. That actually takes shipboard technology. That's what all of our ships
there you
have.
go.
Yeah. Okay. See, I can explain all your stuff.
Thank you.
That we invented all that stuff. But the technology that I actually personally sit down and work on is what's going to be allowed to be released by the United States government, the United States military, what they're allowing to be released to the public. That's what I work on. It's called the transition technology.
Okay, so you're not working with Tom DeLonge.
No.
Okay, so what about kinetic energy?
I'm not working with Lockheed Martin. Marilyn would love to have me, but she's not offering me enough money. I'm not working with them.
All right. So if we're talking about workforce and life force and basically energy change, can you help me? How are we going to tell them how it applies outside of this universe? Because they're just now getting speakers talking about this local solar system. So are you going to help with the gravitation?
Yes.
Abbreviated force energy. All right, so with the kinetic energy and life force, that's still the theory of everything is still, they're basically said they've got CERN, right? And all they're doing is making smaller, I don't know what you'd say, experiments, because right now they're looking at photons. They haven't got past photons yet, right? At the seventh force?
Correct.
You know what I'm talking about?
Correct. CERN doesn't.
All right.
CERN is not aware of the 6th or 7th forces. CERN is not aware of the 6th and 7th forces or wormholes.
When will they?
I don't know.
Are you going to help?
If they ask me to, I'll help them along. Right now I have some scientists who are not in the U.S. military who are starting to ask me, Dan, do you know how to fix the force works? And I go, yeah. And then I show them a little bit. They go, oh, my God, I can't believe it. You know how to do that. And everybody's been leading me in the wrong direction. But I have to ask permission from the U.S. military to work with certain people. And they do have some scientists. They want me to work with some brilliant kids, some very young guys that are absolutely brilliant. But I got to get permission to do that. You know, I don't, you know, I know the protocol. They are going to allow me to.
Are they going to let you? Well, that's what that guy that Janet brought on here, Graham Hancock. Was that it, Gigi?
No.
Janet. Which one that wanted me to teach him?
Grant Cameron wants to know about the Stargate, and so I'll get back to him. So we're going to talk to him about the Stargates, but he wants to really go through one. Is it possible to go through a Stargate here as a 3D person on human Earth? Let me just finish that with Dan. Can a human being go through a Stargate and come out unscathed?
Yes, the gates are on all the gates were put by the ancients on all the habitable planets in our galaxy and in other galaxies, by the way. But the gate system, except for the Ganymede again, the Ganymede gate is from galaxy to galaxy. And it's the only gate in our solar system that is from galaxy to galaxy, the Ganymede gate.
I don't know what it was called.
On this planet, the other gates that are on this planet, they call them portals or arches. The ancients called them arches. We like to call them, in the secret space program, the personnel in the secret space program like to call them portals. They don't like to call them gates. They're not rings. That was the Stargate's way of presenting them. They can't present a sphere, but you actually step inside of a sphere, and then I won't go into exactly how they work right now, but I know the details of how they work. But those are permanent wormholes from all the habitable planets. And so yes, when you
why are they calling it Ganymede?
No, that was just the name of that.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I have a question before we run out of time.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Well, my question is, when I was a kid, I would see something open up in my backyard, and this being would step through. It wasn't like the gates or anything like that. It was just, it was almost like it was kind of like the effect they have with Stargate. We're kind of watery, but the whole the yard would change, and the air would change, the energy would change, and I could feel like shift. And then this reptilian being stepped through it, and then I was ending up interacting with this reptilian being, which I recovered years later what it was. But at the time, my memory blocked it because it was too frightening. Because I'm a human being, and I'm dealing with this reality, and all of a sudden I'm being in another reality, facing this reptilian being, and it steps right through my neighbor's backyard, and then I'm dealing with it. What is that?
Ship to surface transporter. That's a transporter beam. Ship to surface.
That's a transporter beam.
Yeah,
okay.
that makes more sense. But what were they opening up in New Jersey? And some of those corporations up there got involved back during. It was after Tesla.
What was Montauk technology?
It's like a cloud. It's like a misty white cloud. We don't know what to call all of these things. It's the ones that Tommy worked on, and up in New Jersey, and they flooded the whole town when the UFOs were seen. And
we
Tesla.
Don't know that
do you know about
story,
that, Dan?
No.
Well, anyway, okay.
I'd have to read through it. I'd have to read through it to explain it to you.
All right.
It's not
the opening. That's local stuff.
Is that written
all right, so we
TJ article? Is that written
down? Yeah, it's all over the place.
Would you send us a link for that?
Place.
We'll review for our future show. If you could send us a link for that, we'll look at it for the future show. But one more question. We have like 3 minutes left. So Montauk, what technology was that? Are you aware of the Montauk project?
That's what I was talking about. That was what I was talking about.
That's a different thing. Now, they had a chair. Are you aware of the
Oh,
Montauk?
you're talking about...
Philadelphia experiment. What was Philadelphia experiment, Dan? What technology was that?
That would take me more than 3 minutes to explain time travel experiment.
Okay. Okay, we'll have to do the future show.
That's quite a long explanation of how that works and what they were doing. That is the technology that we use to do our 20th back service.
Oh, okay. So we'll tie that into the 20 back.
It's perfected.
Good.
So can you help?
I've talked to.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I've talked to Stuart Swerdlow at great length about the Montauk project. So we'll have to have you on with Stuart sometime. Okay, I guess we have 2 minutes. You want to wrap it up, TJ?
Yeah, Ken wanted to tell everybody that he apologizes. His battery went out, and that he sent you a chat, and to tell Dan. Dan, he wasn't being disrespectful, or he says that anyway that his battery, he had another one charged up, but he just So, folks, he was tired. He said he'll see us tomorrow night. So that's what happened there. If everybody just knows that we love Ken, and he'll be back tomorrow night. And Dan, I would definitely like to work with you on helping me with the taxonomy and the epistemology, if you don't mind, since you're writing patents.
I don't know. We'll have to talk about that. We'll see. I'm involved in inventing, so we'll see.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot. You'll want to make money off of it. Well, I've already had that with a lot of people over the years, especially with government people, engineering, and then I'll need to find out that once they get to know me, the government comes around and says, no. So we'll talk about it. But Dan, just so we can get you, there's a whole bunch of Dan Coopers, so I really need people to know how to get you on Facebook and free social media. We have UFO SecretSpace Dan, if you would like to contribute. That's free open source commons, okay, to the open source people, if you want to get yourself out there other than DB Cooper. So, folks, we'll talk about that later. DB Cooper versus Dan T.
Oh,
Cooper.
That's why you keep emphasizing the T. Now I know why you emphasize the T. DT.
Yeah, DB Cooper still in the jet thingy or whatever.
No,
DB Cooper.
I'm DT. Daniel Trent. That's why you keep emphasizing the T, the Trent.
That's right, Daniel Trent. That's right. Very smart of you.
Yeah.
Okay, folks, love and light. Dan, are you going to come back some that time and help us?
I think I'm scheduled with Janet on the 23rd already.
We'll be on the 23rd.
Okay.
This is another show, Dan. I'll help you with the schedule, so I'll talk to you later. But thank you very much for coming on today, and we're going to have Dan back. I know Dan has to go invent, so we got to not intrude too much into his life. We have to get this stuff invented, but periodically we're going to have Dan on our various shows, and we're going to get this story out to everybody. So thank you.
All right. Well, remember the different levels. And we'll get Dan. Maybe he can help with taxonomy. Thanks, Dan. But give me a call or email sometime on the side when you're not doing a radio show. We'll talk.
Okay.
All right.
Okay,
love and light,
you.
Everybody. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Enjoyed
Aloha.
it. Look forward to seeing you. All right. Love and light. See y'all on Facebook, everybody. Look for us, and we're going to do a conference in Gulf Breeze, and I'm going to introduce this stuff January 12th, 2019. So we're getting you there. It's just a long, slow process. All right. Thank you, everybody. I've got to find how to get off of this thing now. It's local, meaning in this solar system. Janet, you can't do it. You're not running the board, so it has to be me doing it.
Not running the board.
Okay, I get so lost in this 3D stuff.
Log off.
I'm trying to find it. Okay, well, I guess I'll just hang up, I guess, Janet. All right, love and light, everybody. We'll see you in cyberspace. Okay, Janet. Bye-bye. Just hang up.
Aloha. Bye-bye. Aloha. Bye-bye.